Following program is the work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, airlines try to accommodate the many flight cancellations to Egypt.
2 BCIT students are scheduled to film a documentary in Egypt in just a few weeks. Tell us their story.
And there is a call for banning sled dogs following the controversial slaughter of over 100 dogs. Hi, and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Brittany Green-Slade.
And I'm Jen Zielinski.
Egypt is one of the world's top travel destinations with millions of visitors each year. My co-anchor Jen Zielinski found out how the recent civil unrest in Cairo is causing travelers to cancel flights to the area.
A travel advisory is in effect for Egypt as political unrest ravages the country, leaving airlines and travel agents to rebook flights and deal with the many trip cancellations.
Depending on the type of ticket that they've purchased will determine the rules of the refund or changes. With political unrest or weather or volcanoes or any such thing like this, if they've already purchased their ticket, normally the airline is quite accommodating. If they haven't purchased their ticket and then this happens and then they go ahead and purchase it, they're on their own. The thing that I would advise or people that travel basically is do your homework. You know, check your websites, check your Canadian embassy. You know, make sure you know like where you're going and how, if something bad happens, how you're going to get home. You know, you never know when things are going to arise. This summer we had the volcano. There's been, you know, terrible incidences in Haiti and, you know, world disasters. So those are the type of things that you can't plan for. But the things you can plan for is purchasing insurance, you know, knowing a little bit about the country before you go, and making sure that you have enough money, not just for the 14 days or the 7 days that you're there, but making sure you have enough money that if indeed something does happen and you need to stay in a hotel for a week in destination, that you're not, you know, asking family and friends for you to bail you out. Make sure that you're prepared.
Delta Airlines, an air carrier that flies from Vancouver to Cairo, has issued this statement. If your flight is canceled or significantly delayed, you're entitled to a refund. However, conditions and restrictions apply. Changes to origins and destinations may result in an increase in fare. Delta is rescheduling flights for later in March, although it's unclear if a travel advisory will still be in effect at that time, leaving travelers without much of an option. I'm Jen Zielinski in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. The uprising in Egypt has been a major story since the revolts against President Mubarak, beginning January 25th. The situation is changing day by day. Monica Martinez tells us about 2 BCIT students who were scheduled to leave for Cairo in just a few weeks.
These chaotic images from Egypt have been ubiquitously displayed over the past 2 weeks. Demonstrators pleading for President Mubarak to immediately step down. Footage like this video posted on YouTube, taken by those on Cairo's streets, are being replayed on news stations across the world. While Canadians and other foreigners are leaving Egypt, these 2 students wanted in. We're here at the Lamplighter pub in Gastown, where 2 BCIT students are holding a fundraiser to help support a documentary that they wanted to film in Egypt. Today they realized that that trip isn't going to happen.
So my mom had finally gotten hold of my uncle in Egypt, and he said that basically security is non-existent. They don't feel safe.
Miriam and her partner Andrea were supposed to leave at the end of February. Their documentary was to focus on orphans in Egypt. All this for a school project. But to them, it's much more than that.
The most important thing to us is that we do experience the issue firsthand, so it doesn't more so matter as the country we go to as it does like the issue that we end up coming across. We're also going to still be in contact with the contacts that we've made in Egypt to get footage from them, and then getting footage in Canada as well through Skype interviews and contacts that we've made here as well to do a fair comparison of the issue.
An ambitious project.
Say in the entire 30 years or so that I've been here, I've never had a student go as far away as that to do a project, although they've got connections, and so I was actually pretty excited that that could happen.
At like 10:30.
And although Egypt is no longer the destination, the ladies are passionate about the impact their documentary may have. Monica Martinez in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Monica Martinez joins us now from the newsroom with the latest development on the turmoil in Egypt. Monica?
Jen, it was unclear earlier this week just how ugly the situation in Egypt was going to get. President Mubarak announced that he will not seek re-election in September after 30 years in power. Protesters took to the street clearly not happy with this announcement, calling for him to resign immediately. The violence on the streets of Cairo have escalated. Anti-government protesters along with Mubarak's supporters are throwing firebombs, stones, and bottles at each other.
Monica, when did the violence escalate and how many people were involved?
The chaos in Egypt grew after about 3,000 of Mubarak's supporters rode into Tahrir Square on their camels and horses, trying to break through the protest line using their whips. Hundreds of people were injured. They were taken to a nearby mosque where a makeshift clinic was set up to tend to their wounds. The television agency there also broadcasting an immediate call for everybody, all supporters, to get out of that area immediately. Right now, there's reports that internet services and telephone lines are back up after an unprecedented shutdown. Back to you.
Thanks, Monica. This time last year, Whistler was full of pride and joy. However, one outdoor company had a secret no one could imagine. If one local humane society has its way, sled dog tours will be abolished. Krista Dow has the story.
Sled dog tours were a popular attraction during the Olympics, but when business started dying, so did the dogs. Whistler Outdoor Adventure's slaughter of 100 healthy dogs has the Vancouver Humane Society speaking out.
We'd like to see a ban on this industry, the dog sled tour industry, because we don't think it can be carried out humanely.
Deborah Probert says life for these dogs is nothing but miserable.
These animals are basically just chained dogs. They're tied for most of their lives to tiny little boxes in which there's a bit of hay for them to keep warm. None of their psychological needs are met, and we just think that that's not acceptable in society today. Chained dogs are something that society just doesn't want to accept.
Where dogs have been found emaciated because they're not being fed properly. With all businesses that use animals to make profits, once they're in financial trouble, it's the animals who are going to pay the price.
But not everyone's on board with a ban of sled dogs.
That seems a little ridiculous. It's kind of part of our heritage. I don't know. It's part of the Canadian identity.
It's awful about what they did to the animals, but I don't know if it's like totally related.
I don't know if that they need to ban sled dog tours, but I definitely think that they need to start paying attention to the sled dogs themselves and the treatment of sled dogs.
The Vancouver Humane Society has rescued many animals and hope that sled dogs will be next on their list. Krista Dow in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Krista Dow joins us now with more on this disturbing story. Krista?
Well, as of right now, the BC SPCA and the RCMP have joined forces to investigate this horrific incident. Currently, though, no charges have been laid against Outdoor Adventures Whistler, nor the man responsible for the killings. However, what they're looking into is the mass grave where the 100 healthy sled dogs were buried. Now, they do know the whereabouts of it. It's rumored to be in Whistler, but however, the ground is covered with snow and frozen, so it may take some time to get at.
Coming up after the break, police crack down on distracted driving.
And the BC team was named for this year's Winter Games in Halifax. Stay with us.